Here, once again, Sonic Group Studios from Social Blade, and we're back. I want to start off by apologizing for yesterday's show. We usually do these on a Saturday. I had audio issues with OBS not liking anything, apparently, so we have rescheduled. Jay apparently could not make it. Tech2Try was his channel. You can check that out. He was on a previous episode anyway, so he got his FaceTime in. But we did bring back Jacob, the DJI guy. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. How about yourself?
Good.
Cool. So let's get this ball rolling. Once again, you guys loved quadcopters last week. You probably all bought one. If you haven't bought one, you probably should, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking a little bit more because Jacob here is the DJI guy. And anyone that knows about the DJI Phantom and all that, and most of these quadcopters and such rolling around, well, they are pretty much the brand to go by. So, Jacob, let's start this out. Tell the audience out there what you do, what your channel's about, and what you plan on doing a little bit in the future.
Okay, so my channel is the DJI Guy. There's a link in the description where you can go check it out. We have some videos on there. I've done product reviews. We did a video when the Phantom 2 Vision Plus came out. We were one of the first videos to have a comprehensive review of what features you can expect. And we do cool product reviews, I found. Let's see. I have tips. I have a video. I just uploaded a video a few days ago that tells you how you can get insurance for your multirotors from a company called Wings Insurance, and they specialize in insurance on multirotors and other UAS devices. So, yeah, that's a little bit about what I have on my channel. And we're going to be reviewing a backpack made for the Phantom. It's called the Alpha Pack. We're going to be reviewing that in the next couple days, and then we'll be giving that away shortly after.
That's pretty cool. Now, guys, if you're in the description below, you can view some of the, not only Jacob's channel here to give him a subscription and like his videos, but he also has a website called SaveMyPhantom.com. Jacob, tell him, the audience out there, a little bit about some of the products that you have on SaveMyPhantom.com.
Yeah, sure. So right now on SaveMyPhantom.com we have two products. Currently, we have another one in design and another one, and I'm always looking for more products to stock. But I'll just tell you real quickly about the two products that we have. The first one on there, and the most popular one, is called the Gitterback. It's a little device. We have a test video on our channel that shows you. It's a test in the pool where I threw some weights into the pool that weighed the same amount as my Phantom, and attached this little, it weighs less than an ounce. It's called a Gitterback. I attached it to you can attach them to the leg, and they just attach right on. They're super light. They're small and everything. They're cool looking, I guess. So what this device does is if your Phantom falls in the water, after a few minutes, it'll shoot up a bobber to the surface, and all you have to do is grab this bobber, and you just pull up the 10-pound Kevlar line, and it'll pull up your Phantom, and you can get your Phantom back.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great for Jay.
And
he's in Seattle, Washington, and he flies over lakes and such all the time, so at least it'll keep your craft afloat.
yeah, it will. And then those are $18 and free shipping to the USA, and I think it's $6 for international shipping. And then the other product,
prices.
yeah, and then the other product we have on there is called the WeatherFlow Wind Meter. It's a small little device that you just plug to the top of your iPhone or Android device, and it'll give you accurate wind readings in just a matter of seconds. So that's really cool too. That's $35, and same thing applies, $6 international shipping and free shipping to the USA.
Cool. So, a lot of people right now, I think, especially in the, I want to jump sort of off topic of Phantoms, but I think a lot of people are going with these little micro quads. Like I built one recently, and they're 250 scale, so I think it's like 250 millimeters from motor to motor. And they put little FPV setups, which are like a camera and video goggles on the front, and you could fly through trees. If you guys look at Blackout the Drunk on YouTube, he's an amazing pilot. I mean, he goes and he not only designs and builds these, but he flies at high speed through trees and does the impossible, it seems like, on most of these flights. But pretty darn cool. Have you gone into some of these other quads away from DJI and tried some of these things yet?
Yeah, I've flown some of the quadcopter, kind of like what you have, but I only own the Phantom currently. But I have on order. I think I want to say it's the Husband X4. I think that's what it's called.
Hubson,
And
yeah.
I have it on order, and I think it was about $40 or $50, and it's just a little mini quad. And what I'm going to use for that is when you're one of the biggest problems with quadcopters is that the orientation is hard to know just from looking at it. The Phantoms have lights, but it's still hard. So, but part of the problem is if you spin the Phantom around, your forward is going to be it's backwards. So it's hard to know. So what you can do is you can get one of these little mini quads, and you can practice having the Phantom turned around, or well, it'd be the little mini quad facing you. So and you can practice knowing that your right is well, yeah, your right is it's left.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's go back through the chat room here, see if we have any questions. Guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the YouTube chat. We're always going through here and looking for things. I know Gaming in a Nutshell always has some fantastic questions.
And gaming in a nutshell, you asked what are the major flaws of multirotors and quadcopters. Kind of like what I just said. It's the biggest problem for me, and where I think most crashes come from are when you lose orientation and suddenly you're in a tight space and your forward is the quadcopter is right, and you push it forward and you think it's going to go forward, but really it's going to the right, and you end up hitting something that's hard to adjust, and that's the biggest problem, at least for me.
Now, another issue could be, I would say that the number one issue is a lack of knowledge, which sort of fits into that, what you covered right there. Lack of knowledge, especially on a craft like this, because they have like 8-inch propellers that spin quite fast. I mean, if you touch one of these things, they're going to slice up your hand a little bit. So safety and knowing how to operate the craft and flying it in a safe manner is definitely something to consider. So
Yeah.
if you guys have any regulations, I think the regulation in the U.S., you want to look these up, is you can't fly over 500 feet. And if you do, you're breaking like some federal or flight regulation where you could potentially be fined a lot of money. So do consider the regulations for flying these crafts and research before flying them. Never fly over people, because if a motor or speed control on these things dies, you're definitely going to notice that it will fall like a brick and hit somebody. You are liable
Yeah.
for things like that. So did we cover the insurance on some of these things? I know we talked about it a little bit
Well,
yesterday.
yeah, well, on that note, real quick, I saw a video actually today. I think it has like 20,000 views. You can probably search it on YouTube. It's after I don't watch much hockey, but I think the LA Kings won, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
right. After they won, there was a party outside of the stadium, and someone was flying a Phantom fairly low, I'd say about 50 or 60 feet over the crowd, and these people were probably mostly intoxicated. So they were throwing things at the Phantom, and the operator wasn't trying to go higher. He wasn't trying to dodge it. I don't know, he may have been intoxicated, but he was flying pretty unsafe, pretty low over the crowd, and people were throwing towels and bottles at the Phantom, and eventually a towel hit one of the rotors and it spun out and came down over the crowd, but they were all expecting it, and one of the guys hit it with his skateboard, so it was pretty much ruined. So you just really want to be careful if you're going to fly over people. You want to have insurance. You can watch the video on our channel, and you really want to have insurance, because if you were to hurt someone, I think the insurance company that we explained in the video, you can choose between different policies, but you can get 1 million or 5 million in liability.
So what is the name of the website that you would go for to go about having insurance to fly one of these crafts safely, and not only cover your craft, so in case it breaks or flies into the ocean, but to protect yourself if you hit somebody?
Yeah, so
Shit happens.
yeah, the website is wingsinsurance.aero, AERO. And I would really suggest just honestly watching the video on our channel, because on their website it doesn't say the average deductibles and liability, so you'll probably want to make sure you can get kind of oriented with the insurance policies and different things that they cover. But they go to all they're a broker, and they go to all the insurance companies in the United States that cover aerial insurance, and they'll go try and get the best policy for you. And then after you fill out a little application, it takes, I think, 15 minutes. I looked at it. Then once you fill that out, they go talk to all the insurance companies, and they'll give you all the rates, and you can choose which one you want.
Cool. Just
Yeah.
want to welcome Rafa Power he's new to the channel. He's saying, what is this all about? Helicopters, tech? Social Blade in general is a statistics company. Just to sort of give you an example, you can go to socialblade.com/about or info or something like that. But go to socialblade.com. There's an about section, FAQs, all that jazz. But basically what we're doing here today is we're talking with Jacob. He runs a channel called TheDJIguy. And we basically do a weekly interview with different people. If you guys want to apply to be on the show, link is in the description below. There's a few requirements, such as being able to speak fluent English, have a decent connection. We will get you on a pre-interview, with Skype call, and all that jazz. So if you guys want to apply, the link is in the description below. But today we're talking with Jacob here, and we generally do a bunch of things like YouTube tips and all that jazz. So we went over insurance, we went over how to fly safely, which is awesome. Oh, so let's go into more of the uses of multirotors, quadcopters, and such. And we say quadcopter a lot, and I think the news media covers quadcopter or DJI Phantom the most. But we probably don't hear much about the term multirotor. And what that basically covers is quadcopters, octocopter, hexacopter, because you can fly these things with 4 blades, with 6 blades, or 8 blades. And the advantage of adding more blades, such as an octocopter, is you can lose 1 or 2 of those motors while flying, still stay in the air, so you get redundancy. You also have more lifting power, and the lifting power comes in handy when, well, of course, you're flying cameras around, which is what these crafts were sort of built to do these days. And you're seeing a lot of people putting GoPros and DSLRs even on these multirotors and flying them around to get some amazing captures from the sky. In fact, I fly all the time to get an aerial view of a park, and I'll do a Google Maps review and such, and add some great photos to get people to see what the area is like. But also video is fantastic. You can get gimbals and such that are powered, so you get some really smooth flowing shots when you're flying through the air. And so it's great for artistic stuff. So Jacob, what have you done in terms of capturing video from your DJI Phantom at this point?
Yeah, the pricing has come down actually a lot on these devices. The Phantom 1 a year ago was $800, and that doesn't include a gimbal or a GoPro or anything, and now it's down to like $500. So you can get a fairly good setup for that. And then if you're looking to do professional, like for movies or other things of that nature, you're going to want to get an octocopter and a 5D gimbal and all that kind of stuff. But really, it's actually fairly cheap when you really look at it. You're looking at about $8,000 or a little bit more, which, I mean, you could make, a fourth of that in 1 gig if it's a really professional gig. So
Yes.
you can make that back fairly quick, and if you have insurance, you know that you're covered and all that. But I've shot videos. I shot a recent video I would really recommend, if you're going to shoot videos, you should check with your church and make sure it's okay, obviously. But you can fly, if they have, like, the church that I shot at had a really tall cross, so I got some shots going around the cross, and you can do some really great things with those with those kinds of shots. And then I've also shot at beaches and over oceans and things like that. Those are cool too.
Yeah, I got a church that was built a few years back, and they did an amazing job architectural-wise, so I think I'm going to do some flying around there. I'll have to check with them, because it's one of those complicated architectural pieces where if your quadcopter falls out of the sky, it's going to go in one of those spots where it'll get stuck forever.
Yeah.
And you don't want that happening, so... but definitely, yeah, if you're going to fly over something that you do not own, even in a public location, check to get rights to fly over things. Fly safely, fly smart, don't get stuck in a tree, unless you have a long pole. Stuff like that. But yeah, Jacob brings up a great point of you can actually make money by filming for people. And this is something that was changed within the past 6 months. The FAA did not allow you to fly these drones for commercial use, and if they caught you doing that, they would hit you with a $10,000 fine. And it wasn't until
Team Black
Sheep actually got hit with one of these fines and fought it, and he actually got a judge to rule within his favor to say, hey, yeah, it's not right. We're going to rule in the favor of you and say that drones and these aerial crafts for commercial use is fine by us. So now you guys can get one of these, learn how to fly it safely, and learn how it reacts too, because you can't just buy these one day and be like, oh, I'm going to go film this for
Yeah.
$2,000 and expect a masterpiece. So you got to learn your framing in air and stuff like that. And then now let's go over some of the different versions that DJI actually has, because there's everyone from the DJI Phantom 1 to the 2 to the 2 Vision, and they get more expensive, but they also offer more features. I mean, the Phantom 1 flew for 10 minutes on a battery, and it was just a quadcopter, and it had a little bracket for a GoPro. But now the Phantom 2 Vision Plus and all that, it's got its onboard camera, it's got a motorized gimbal on there, so you can get some really cool shots, but also it has the link back to your phone through 2.4 gigahertz radio, so you can see in real time on your phone at the transmitter what you're framing up in the sky, which really helps you frame up your shots. So talk over some of the advantages, Jacob, of some of the lower end models, and maybe where people should start when it comes to looking into buying one of these multirotors.
Sure, yeah, and real quick on the court case, I just wanted to mention also, just to be fair, the FAA has appealed that case, so the ruling, so we could be seeing change on that. That's not definite, so just keep that in mind.
Sadly.
And yeah, so on the Phantom versions, I had the Phantom 1 for a while, and the Phantom 1 is good if you're, it's good if you know you just want to, if it's just going to be a hobby for you and you're just like, oh, I want to get some okay video from the sky and just look down at me and my friends. I'm never going to want to charge someone for the video and stuff like that. And the Phantom 1's great for you. But if you want to end up charging someone for the video, I would definitely buy the Phantom 2. It's about $100 more at about $600. But the difference between the Phantom 1 and the Phantom 2, a couple of the key differences are, one, you're going to be getting a much better flight time with the Phantom 2, about double. But also, one of the feature that I like the most is with the Phantom 2, you can plug and play upgrade to the H3 3D gimbal or H3 2D gimbal. So that's when you're really going to move into much, much more professional video, and that's an outstanding difference. I've used the Phantom 1 without a gimbal, and now the Phantom 2 with a gimbal, and I will never go back.
Yeah.
Because it's all the world difference. And if you know that you're going to want to upgrade to the H3 2D or H3 3D gimbal at some point, you have to get the Phantom 2, because the Phantom 1, you're going to end up spending $200 or $300 on the gimbal, plus installation, unless you know how to solder and you want to take all that 2 hours or whatever. You'll be paying $99 for installation, and you're going to be drilling holes on the Phantom and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a big mess and everything.
I could
But
just
if you
use
get
a sledgehammer and make a really big hole. That'll work.
yeah, yeah. But the Phantom 2 comes with the, let's see if you can see this, comes with the battery, which gives you the display amount of battery you have, and it also gives you longer flight time, and among other things, it'll let you upgrade to the gimbal. Now the Phantom 2 Vision is really the best. I would say it's the best photography you can get from the DJI line, the consumer grade line. By consumer, I mean like the Phantoms, not the octocopters or the hexacopters, but the Phantom 2 Vision will get you the best photos. So if you know you're going to be doing just photos, I would definitely get the Phantom 2, because you can get 14 megapixel photos in RAW format, and the Phantom 2 Vision is $999, but there's a Father's Day special going on right now, or you can get it for, I think, $900. So if you're looking at that, that's a great option. You can save some money.
That's cool.
And then, yeah, it's really cool. And then the Phantom 2 Vision, well, with the Phantom 2 Vision, one of the biggest problems was it doesn't have this gimbal, so it won't keep your videos super stable. So a lot of people worry about that, and a couple of companies came out with gimbals that you can fit onto the Phantom 2 Vision. They're about $500, and they will allow the video to be nice and stable. So if you want super good video and great photos, DJI has recently come out with, in the last couple of months, the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. So this has a gimbal, and it still gets the 14 megapixel photos. So basically what I'm saying is, if you just want photos and you don't really care about video, get the Phantom 2 Vision. But if you really want high quality video and photos, I would definitely get the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, because if you get the Phantom 2 Vision and then you decide that you want great video, you're going to pay $500 for a gimbal, when you could just get the Phantom 2 Vision Plus for just a couple $100 more at the beginning when you first purchase.
Yeah. So let me see if I can't grab this without destroying things. Oh, I've destroyed things already. Oh well. I have built this beast of a craft, which is probably built around the F550. It is a 550 mil frame, but it's a hexacopter, so it's got 6 motors, 6 props. I think these are like 8-inch props or something. No, these are 10-inch props. Deadly. You don't want to fly this into anyone because you will hurt yourself. So what are your thoughts on actually building these things versus buying them? I think you can buy the NASA flight controllers, which is sort of like the brains that are input into these to help stay steady and everything, give you your return to home if things go wrong or lose the signal. But then again, I can build this probably for a little bit less than the DJI Phantom products and all that, but it's going to take more time. What are your thoughts on building versus buying?
Well, some people are much more DIY. You know, they've been in the RC hobby like yourself for a few years, and they know how to solder, and they want to have the experience and the knowledge of buying their own ESCs and motors and choosing them out, and you can really get much more customized. But like, I don't know how to solder, and I'm not great with. I mean, I wouldn't be able to really choose my own motor. So I think it's great if you're just the director of photography at your church, or the director of photography at a business that wants to shoot some aerials or something. The Phantom's great for that because you can buy it, it'll get at your home, you take 30 minutes to set up, they're fairly easy to fly, and you're good to go. And it doesn't take too much practice to become pretty good at flying.
That is the nice thing about these the DJI products, is that they're set up in a way that they're not at all difficult to fly. You buy some of these other ones, or you build them yourself, and you're stuck having to set your what are known as PID values, or your gains, to keep the thing flying steady and smooth. And then you got to program it to set up with your radio that you got to buy with it. I think overall, for somebody that just wants to get it out of the box and start flying and learning, the DJI products are maybe a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. And especially like the Phantom 2 is a very worthwhile price. So, and I've built at least 3 quadcopters. I built a few, bought a few, and you know, in the end, I don't know. I sort of wish I bought them because they're already pre-tuned and calibrated. But overall, Phantom is good. Now, one thing I do want to cover is Phantom flyaways, which anyone that sort of researches around at RC Groups Forum and other sites, there's a popular poll at RC Groups Forum, and I think if you Google search Phantom flyaway, you'll find it. Whereas these flight controllers, the NASAs, to keep this craft steady and have the GPS lock and everything that will keep them in the air, sometimes they glitch, and the Phantom can fly away. In fact, last week we had Jay on. He owns a Phantom 1, or owned one, that had a glitch, and it literally flew away. You know, what he thinks happened, which is most likely the case, is that it ran into some Wi-Fi signals, which are 2.4 gigahertz, around that range, and that's what is used to talk to the craft in that case, to control it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, interference is definitely an issue, and it flew away to the point where it had his GoPro black on it. He never got it back, sadly, but then he got the Phantom 2 Vision, so, hey, step up.
Yeah. So just a couple of things for you guys. When you get the Phantom, if you're going to be using a GoPro on it, do not use the Wi-Fi, because Jay's is actually, if you look on the forums and stuff, you may think, oh man, that's just like 60% of people have a flyway. But really, that's not true, because if you think about it, if you were to have a flyway, like in Jay's case, I would definitely go on every single forum and post all about it. I'd spend an hour, you know, just super mad and doing all that. But if I'm happy, I'm not going to spend that time to go post on it. I'm not just going to post, hey, I love my Phantom, you know. No one does that. So if you think about it, it's a really, really small percentage that has these flyways. But I would say at least 90% of flyways are caused by having the GoPro Wi-Fi on, because they work on really close frequencies. And I think what happens is the GoPro kind of takes over control. So suddenly your GoPro is flying a Phantom. And
your GoPro is like, oh, you're having way too much fun. I got to take over here.
Yeah, so yeah, the GoPro has control, which is obviously a problem. And one thing, if you experience a flyway, some things to try it'll probably be hard to remember while it's zooming off in the other direction.
But it's flying away, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. First, what I would do is I would flip it into attitude mode, which you have to enable in the NASA software, but that's a whole nother. You can look that up on YouTube. But I would flip to attitude mode. If it's still flying away, I would shut off your remote and see if it returns to home. Those are pretty much your only options. And if you try those, you should be able to regain control.
I've seen people on the forums actually, and the thread I'm talking about is an actual poll, so I do agree with the point where people are more likely to vote or post their thoughts if it had happened to them and then it flew away. But then there's a lot of people that said, yeah, it flew away, but I got it back. Or there's a lot of people saying, no, it hasn't flown away. So I think it's a fairly balanced post in that sense. You should totally do a video showing how to set up in the NASA flight assistant software, the radio assistant software, how to enable those features for manual mode and attitude mode, just so in case this does happen.
Guys, if you do go into the software and you want to switch to NASA mode, just be very careful, and I would definitely watch a video. I think there's a couple of videos while you're doing it, because at least I can speak from experience. It used to, when you switch into NAS mode, it'll ask you to make sure, and the reason why it wants you to make sure that you know what you're doing is because the default is the right switch all the way on the bottom. It's manual mode when you first switch in. So if you don't switch that and you accidentally flip to the bottom switch on the right, that's the mode where you can do flips with your Phantom. So you could accidentally be doing flips with your Phantom, which can obviously be problematic. And one thing I wanted
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to mention earlier is when I said they're easy to set up out of the box in 30 minutes, one thing that I've noticed a lot that happens, I think, is when you open up the Phantom and you take it out for the first flight, you expect it to be really hard to fly, but they're actually pretty easy to fly. So you get up in the air and you just fly around a little bit, and suddenly you think, oh, these are the easiest thing in the world, I'm an expert. So I think that a lot of people will make their second flight or their third flight, over a ton of people, because they're like, oh, I'm an expert. But one of the things that happens is you don't realize, you don't think about the orientation, and you don't have intelligent orientation control on, so you end up losing control, and you think that your left is its right, and all those kind of problems I was talking about earlier, and suddenly you're crashing into people, and there's journalists. That's the worst place, because there's journalists everywhere, and you know that every single journalist or TV crew is waiting for you to crash, because they get tons of views on their posts whenever they write a blog.
When that happens too, I mean, it affects the entire community.
Yeah.
Everybody that that may know how to fly these things proficiently and takes all the safety precautions. I mean, that could potentially change all those safety precautions to lock it down even more. So, definitely learn the instruction manual. Go through it. They have a DVD in most cases that will walk you through it, or online videos. Watch those to set up properly. Do note how to calibrate, because you can't just take this out of the box and not calibrate it in the flight. I have had people that have flown about 1,000 feet high on YouTube video I saw recently. They flew 1,000 feet high, uncalibrated out of the box, and it dive bombed, and luckily didn't hit anyone or anything. It just kind of screwed itself up.
And every member that has a Phantom, every person that has a Phantom, we really, in this community, we take we're really careful, because we're used to, right now there's really no regulations. The FAA doesn't really have any control, and they're supposed to come out with much more strict laws and specific laws in 2015. But until then, there shouldn't be any really strict regulations. And right now, as a ton of more people are coming to the hobby, you have to be extremely safety oriented, because the FAA is watching what we're doing, and if there's plenty of crashes and these regulations are going to be extremely strict, and it's just not going to be, it's going to be hard to get a license, and you're just going to ruin the hobby for all of us, rather than just taking a couple minutes to run all the safety procedures and giving it a couple months to get used to the Phantom and know how to fly, and give it some good flights before you go fly over a crowd or at an event.
Definitely. So fly safe, guys, and don't run into people, please.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to wrap it up. How much does it cost? Failer is asking about my microphone. It's about $120. I know Bob Hiles, so he gave me a discount. But, yeah, if you guys have any questions, whatnot, post them in the comment section below, or head over to my channel. It's clearly on my lower third, Sonic Orb Studios. And or you can just Google search me and find my website, my contact page, and contact me there for specific questions on that. But for now, we're going to wrap up this live interview series. Thank you, Jacob, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, guys, head on over to the DJIguy channel. I'll have a link in the description below for that. Give him a subscription and a like on his videos, and let him know that we sent you from Social Blade. Also, if you'd like to be on the show, we have links in the description below on how to apply, so that you guys can have an interview here and hopefully boost your views and knowledge about your channel. If you guys are just starting out, I suggest you guys apply. There's a few requirements to meet, but not too bad. And so, we are going to have, I think next week we have somebody scheduled. Let's bring up my calendar. We're going to have Micah or Macca 91 Productions on the 21st. And then the 28th, we're going to be taking a vacation because Social Blade will be at VidCon 2014. So if you guys are planning on going to VidCon 2014, well, check out for the Social Blade booth because I'll be there, Ergo will be there. We got Jenna that will be there, and much, much more. So check that out, guys. I welcome everyone to be there and hope to see you there as well. But that's going to wrap up another interview, whatever this is. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.